My mother-in-law killed my dreams one cup at a time. I didn't know it then. I couldn't have known. Every morning, she would hand me that delicate porcelain cup, painted with tiny pink roses. She would smile, pat my hand, say, "Drink up, dear. It's good for you." And I believed her. I trusted her. I drank every drop. For 6 months, I swallowed poison disguised as love. For 6 months, I wondered what was wrong with my body. Why I couldn't give my husband the one thing he wanted most. A child. I blamed myself. I cried alone in bathrooms. I apologized to him in whispers at night, saying I was sorry. Sorry I was broken. Sorry I couldn't be enough. But I wasn't broken. I was being broken. Slowly, deliberately, by the woman who promised to treat me like her own daughter. My name is Sara. And this is the story of how I discovered the truth. How I lost my marriage. And how I learned that sometimes, the people who smile the widest are the ones hiding the sharpest knives. If you've ever felt like something was wrong but couldn't prove it, you'll understand. If you've ever trusted someone who didn't deserve it, you'll know this pain. Stay with me. This story isn't easy to tell, but it needs to be heard. I met Daniel when I was 26. He was kind, gentle, the sort of man who opens doors and remembers your favorite flower. We fell in love the way people do in movies. Slowly, naturally, like it was always meant to happen. His mother, Margaret, seemed thrilled when we got engaged. She hugged me at our engagement party, told everyone I was perfect for her son. She helped me pick my wedding dress. She cried during our vows. I thought I was gaining not just a husband, but a second mother. My own mother had passed away when I was 19. I missed her every single day. So when Margaret offered to be there for me, to guide me, to love me like her own, I opened my heart completely. We moved into a small house just 10 minutes from Margaret's home. She visited often. Too often, I realize now. But back then, I thought it was sweet. I thought she just wanted to be close to her son. Daniel worked long hours as an architect. He'd leave early, come home late, exhausted. So Margaret would come over in the mornings to keep me company. She'd bring pastries, help with laundry, and always, she'd make tea. "It's a family recipe," she'd say, pouring from her special thermos. My grandmother taught me. "It's very good for women. Balances hormones. Keeps you healthy." The tea had a strange taste. Bitter, earthy, but she'd add honey, and I'd drink it down. Every morning. Sometimes twice a day if she visited in the afternoon. "You're trying for a baby, aren't you?" she asked one day, about 3 months into our marriage. I nodded, a little embarrassed. "This tea will help," she said, her eyes warm. "Trust me." And I did. Daniel and I had been trying to conceive since our honeymoon. We were both healthy. Young. The doctor said there was no reason it shouldn't happen. "Just relax," he told us. "Give it time." So we gave it time. 1 month passed. Then 2. Then 6. Every negative pregnancy test felt like a small death. I'd sit on the bathroom floor, staring at the single line, feeling my heart crack a little more. Daniel would hold me, tell me it would happen. But I could see the disappointment in his eyes too. Margaret noticed, of course. She noticed everything. "Still nothing?" she'd ask, her voice dripping with concern. I'd shake my head, fighting back tears. "Maybe you're too stressed," she'd say. "Here, have some more tea. It'll calm you down." And I'd drink, because I wanted so badly to believe that something, anything, could fix me. After 8 months of trying, we went back to the doctor. This time, for fertility tests. They took blood, did ultrasounds, checked everything. The results came back normal. Perfectly normal. "There's no medical reason you shouldn't be able to conceive," the doctor said, looking confused. "Your hormone levels are fine. Your cycle is regular. Everything looks healthy." But it didn't make sense. If everything was fine, why wasn't I getting pregnant? The doctor suggested we see a specialist. Maybe try hormonal treatments. I agreed, desperate for answers. That evening, I told Margaret about the appointment. Her face changed. Just for a second. A flicker of something I couldn't name. Then she smiled. Specialists are expensive, she said carefully. And sometimes they do more harm than good. Why don't you just keep trying naturally? Give it a little more time. Daniel agreed with her. He always agreed with her. Mom's right, he said. Let's not rush into anything invasive. I felt a strange knot in my stomach, but I pushed it down. I told myself I was being paranoid. The months dragged on. Margaret's visits became more frequent. And with every visit, the tea. Always the tea. One morning, I was running late for work. Margaret had already poured my cup and left it on the counter. I have to go, I called out. I'll drink it later. Her voice came sharp from the living room. No, drink it now. It's most effective when it's fresh. Something in her tone made me pause. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a command. But I drank it anyway. Because that's what you do. You obey the people you trust. Around the 1-year mark, Daniel started changing. He became distant, irritable. He'd come home and barely speak to me. When I asked what was wrong, he'd say he was just tired. But I knew it was more than that. One night, he didn't come home until past midnight. When I asked where he'd been, he said he'd gone to his mother's house. Why? I asked. Because I needed to talk to someone who understands, he said coldly. I'm your wife. Talk to me. He looked at me with something close to resentment. What's there to talk about, Sara? We've been married over a year and you still aren't pregnant. Maybe Mom was right. Right about what? He hesitated. Nothing. Forget it. But I couldn't forget it. That sentence haunted me. I started noticing other things too. Whispered phone calls between Daniel and Margaret. The way she'd look at me with something like pity, or was it satisfaction? Then, one afternoon, I overheard them. I'd come home early from work with a headache. Daniel's car was in the driveway, along with Margaret's. I walked in quietly, planning to lie down. Their voices drifted from the kitchen. You need to think about your future, Daniel, Margaret was saying. You want children. She clearly can't give you that. My heart stopped. Mom, don't. I'm just saying, there are other women. Better matches. Sara from your office, she's always been fond of you. And she's from a good family. A fertile family. Silence. I can't just leave her, Daniel said, but his voice was weak. Uncertain. Why not? She's broken. Face it. You married the wrong woman. I stood frozen in the hallway. The word broken echoed in my head like a scream. I didn't confront them. I couldn't. I walked back out to my car, drove to a park, and cried until I couldn't breathe. That night, I didn't drink the tea Margaret left for me. I poured it down the sink when no one was looking. The next morning, she noticed the empty cup in the sink. Did you drink your tea? She asked, her eyes sharp. Yes, I lied. Good, she said, but she didn't look convinced. For the next week, I avoided drinking the tea. I'd pretend to sip it, then pour it into a plant when she wasn't looking. I felt paranoid. Crazy. Like I was imagining threats that didn't exist. But then something strange happened. 2 weeks without the tea, and I felt different. More energized. My stomach stopped hurting. The constant nausea I'd attributed to stress disappeared. And then, one morning, I woke up feeling nauseous again. But this time, it was different. A good different. I took a pregnancy test. 2 lines. I stared at it in disbelief. After a year of trying, 2 weeks without Margaret's tea, and suddenly I was pregnant. It couldn't be a coincidence. I didn't tell anyone about the pregnancy. Not yet. Because a terrible suspicion had taken root in my mind. I started researching. Late at night, when Daniel was asleep, I'd sit in the dark with my laptop, searching for answers. Herbal teas that prevent pregnancy. Natural contraceptives. How to sabotage fertility. What I found made my blood run cold. There are dozens of herbs that can prevent conception. Some delay ovulation. Others prevent implantation. Many are completely legal. Easily accessible. And when brewed into tea, nearly undetectable. Pennyroyal. Rue. Wild carrot seed. Neem. I read testimonies from women in other countries whose mothers-in-law had done the same thing. poisoned them slowly, sabotaged their ability to have children, all to push their sons toward divorce or remarriage. It was real. It happened. And it had happened to me. But I needed proof. The next time Margaret came over, I was ready. She brought her thermos as always. Poured the tea into my cup. Smiled. "Drink up, dear." I lifted the cup to my lips. Pretended to drink. Then set it down. "Actually, I'm not feeling well," I said. "Can I save it for later?" Her smile tightened. "It's better fresh." "I know, but I really—" "Sara." Her voice was firm. "Drink the tea." For the first time, I saw it clearly. The mask slipping. The control. The cruelty hiding behind kindness. "Why?" I asked quietly. "What? Why do you care so much if I drink this tea?" She blinked. Recovered. "Because I care about you, sweetheart. It's good for you." "Is it?" I stood up. Walked to the sink. Picked up the thermos she'd left on the counter. "What's in this, Margaret?" "Herbs. Family recipe. I've told you 100 times." "What kind of herbs?" "For women's health." "What kind of herbs?" Her face hardened. "You're being paranoid." "Am I?" I unscrewed the thermos. Poured a little into a glass jar I'd prepared. "Then you won't mind if I take this to be tested?" The color drained from her face. "You wouldn't?" "Why not? If it's just tea, what's the harm?" She stood up. Her voice was ice. "You ungrateful little girl. After everything I've done for you." "What have you done, Margaret?" My voice was shaking. "Tell me. What have you done?" She stared at me. And for a moment, I thought she might confess. Instead, she grabbed her purse and walked toward the door. "You'll regret this," she said. "Daniel will never believe you." The door slammed behind her. I stood alone in my kitchen, holding a jar of poisoned tea, and knew she was right. Daniel came home late that night. I was waiting for him at the kitchen table. "We need to talk," I said. He sighed. "Sara, I'm exhausted. Can this wait?" "No." He sat down reluctantly. I told him everything. About the tea. My suspicions. The research I'd done. The fact that I'd stopped drinking it and immediately gotten pregnant. He stared at me like I'd lost my mind. "You think my mother poisoned you?" "Yes." "To stop you from getting pregnant?" "Yes." He laughed. Actually laughed. "Sara, do you hear yourself? You sound insane." "I have the tea. I'm going to get it tested." His expression turned cold. "You're not testing anything. You're going to apologize to my mother." "Daniel. She's been nothing but kind to you. Welcoming. Loving. And this is how you repay her. With paranoid accusations." "I'm pregnant," I said quietly. He froze. "What?" "I'm pregnant. After a year of trying, 2 weeks without her tea, and I'm pregnant." For a moment, just a moment, I saw doubt flicker across his face. Then it hardened again. "That doesn't prove anything. It's just timing." "Then let me test the tea." "No." "Why not?" "Because I won't let you humiliate my mother over your delusions." I felt something break inside me. Not my heart. Something deeper. "My hope." "She told you to leave me," I whispered. I heard her. He didn't deny it. "She said I was broken. That you should find someone else." "She's just worried about me," he said defensively. "She's controlling you." "Stop. She's been sabotaging us from the beginning." I said stop. He stood up, grabbed his keys. "I'm going to stay at Mom's tonight. When you're ready to apologize and act like a rational adult, call me." He left. And I knew, in that moment, that I'd lost him. Not to another woman. To his mother. I took the tea to be tested anyway. I found a private lab. Paid out of pocket. Asked them to screen for herbal compounds and contraceptive properties. The wait was excruciating. Daniel didn't come home. He called once to tell me he needed space to think. That I needed to get help. Margaret sent me a single text message. "You're tearing this family apart." I almost believed her. Almost convinced myself I was crazy. That grief and stress had made me paranoid. That I'd imagined everything. Then the results came back. The lab report was 8 pages long. Technical. Full of chemical names I couldn't pronounce. But the summary was clear. Sample contains significant concentrations of neem extract, pennyroyal, and wild carrot seed, all herbs with documented antifertility properties. Concentration levels suggest intentional preparation, not accidental contamination. I sat in my car outside the lab, holding the report, and cried. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't broken. I was poisoned. I forwarded the report to Daniel. No message. Just the PDF. He called an hour later. His voice was hollow. I need to see you. We met at a coffee shop. Neutral ground. He looked terrible. Like he hadn't slept in days. He sat down. Stayed at the table. I confronted her, he said quietly. I waited. She denied it at first. Said you must have faked the report. But I kept pushing. I told her if she didn't tell me the truth, I'd never speak to her again. His voice broke. She admitted it. The words hung between us like a death sentence. She said she did it because she knew you weren't right for me. That you came from a lower-class family. That you'd never be able to give me the life I deserved. She thought if you couldn't get pregnant, I'd eventually leave you and marry someone she approved of. I felt numb. Beyond anger. Beyond pain. She said she was protecting me. And do you believe her? I asked. He looked up, tears in his eyes. I don't know what to believe anymore. That was the moment I knew it was over. Not because he'd chosen his mother over me, but because he'd hesitated. Because part of him still thought maybe, possibly, she'd had a point. I'm keeping the baby, I said. With or without you. Sara. I'll move out. File for divorce. You don't have to be involved. I want to be involved, he said desperately. I want to fix this. How? My voice was calm. Dead. How do you fix this, Daniel? Your mother poisoned me for 6 months. 6 months. And you didn't believe me. You called me crazy. You chose her. I know. And I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't change anything. We sat in silence for a long time. Finally, he said, what happens now? Now I figure out how to raise a child alone. How to trust people again. How to forgive you both, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. He reached for my hand. I pulled away. I need you to know something, he said. I love you. I've always loved you. I couldn't see clearly. She's my mother. I've spent my whole life trying to make her proud. I didn't know how to choose you over her. You shouldn't have had to choose, I said. That's what you don't understand. In a healthy family, there is no choice. Your mother made you choose. And you chose wrong. I stood up, picked up my bag. I'll have my lawyer contact you about custody arrangements. Sara, please. But I was already walking away. That was 3 years ago. I'm sitting here now, in my small apartment across town, watching my daughter play with her blocks. She has Daniel's eyes and my smile. She's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Daniel and I divorced quietly. No drama. No courtroom battles. He has visitation rights. He comes every other weekend and takes her to the park. He's a good father. Better than I expected. But we're not together. We never will be. Margaret tried to apologize once. She showed up at my door 6 months after I moved out. Said she'd made a mistake. That she'd been trying to protect her son. That she never meant to hurt me. I listened. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. When she finished, I said, You didn't make a mistake, Margaret. You made a choice. Every single morning for 6 months, you chose to hurt me. That's not protection. That's cruelty. I closed the door. I haven't seen her since. Daniel says she asks about the baby. Wants to meet her granddaughter. I said no. Maybe one day I'll change my mind. But not today. Some people think I'm bitter. That I should forgive and forget. Let bygones be bygones. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And it certainly doesn't mean allowing toxic people back into your life. I learned something important through all of this. I learned that trust is fragile. That family doesn't always mean safety. And that sometimes, The most dangerous people are the ones who smile while they hurt you. But I also learned that I'm stronger than I thought. That I can survive betrayal. That I can build a new life from broken pieces. My daughter will grow up knowing she is loved. That she is enough. That her worth is not determined by other people's approval. She will never drink tea from someone who demands she trust them. She will question. She will protect herself. She will know that kindness should never come with conditions. I still think about those 6 months sometimes. The cups of tea. The bitter taste. The way Margaret would watch me drink, her eyes so warm, so concerned. I think about how easy it is to hurt someone when you hide behind love. But mostly, I think about how I survived. How I trusted my instincts even when everyone told me I was wrong. How I chose myself and my child over a marriage that had already died. Some nights, I dream about the tea. I wake up tasting bitterness. But then I hear my daughter laugh from her room, and the taste fades. She's my healing, my proof that I made the right choice. If you're reading this, if this story found you, maybe you needed to hear it. Maybe you're in a situation where something feels wrong but you can't prove it. Maybe someone is hurting you while pretending to love you. Trust yourself. Trust your instincts. Don't drink the tea. You are not broken. You are not paranoid. And you deserve a life free from poison, in every form. My name is Sara. This was my story. And I'm finally free.